One of my biggest takeaways from therapy is rethinking stories. Whenever I would share with my therapist a story about something hurtful that somebody did to me, she would ask me why I think they did that, and I would share my reason, which probably was something negative and intentional. And then she would also ask, what are some of the other possibilities of why this person might have done this? And that question made me take a step back and think through all kinds of different scenarios where maybe this person didn't necessarily do something to me intentionally. And this is something that I take through my day to day. And it now allows me to have better conversations with people because I consider that sometimes the stories that I create in my head aren't actually real. And until I have that conversation with that person, I don't really know why they did what they did. What I'm realizing is that these stories that we create aren't just about the people that are around us. We also create stories about ourselves. And the stories that we tell ourselves impact what we are able to do every single day because they impact what we perceive we actually can and cannot accomplish. For example, I am a competitive powerlifter. So I go to competitions and I squat, bench, and deadlift, and I want to lift as much as possible. Now, I haven't competed in a long time. I haven't been training in a while, but when I was training consistently, I would always tell myself that I had a bad squat. My squat was ugly. It is my worst lift. And now when I look back at training videos and pictures, my squat was just fine. But because I told myself that I had a bad squat, every single time that I went to squat, I already had lost because I was then never trying my hardest because I already believed that I couldn't do it. How do I know this? There has never been a single time when I tried to squat and I failed. Every other lift, there are plenty of times where I tried to lift the bar and I couldn't do it. With my squat, never. I've always been able to get down and come back up with no problem. And what that tells me is I never really tried that hard. I wasn't really lifting as much as I could because if I had, then I would have failed. And it's all because of the story that I told myself that I could not squat. You see, the words that we say have power, our thoughts have power, and the things that we say, the things that we think, it feeds into our brain. And our brain is processing so many things all the time. You cannot possibly be aware of everything. So you only see glimpses of what's most important based on what your brain perceives you actually need to see in this moment. I know this has happened to me plenty of times, and let me know in the comments if it has happened to you, where your friend tells you they want to buy a Toyota Camry. All of a sudden, after the conversation, you start to see so many Toyota Camrys everywhere. This is your brain. Those Camrys were always there. You could always technically see them, but you were not registering them in your brain because your brain wasn't signaling them to you. But because you had that conversation recently about those Toyota Camrys, now you start to actually see them. So one thing that you can do if you want to buy a house this year is start telling yourself, start thinking about, start visualizing the house that you want to buy. How big is the house? Where is the house? What does it look like? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? How much? Be as detailed as possible as you think about this house, because the more detailed you make it as you're visualizing and thinking about it, the easier it is going to be for your brain to start finding that house for you. All of a sudden, you are going to start seeing opportunities to get this house where before you couldn't. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but this has happened to me in the past. My very first house was a 3-family house in New York City. I was making $48,000 a year. And I had seen all these other houses super cheap that investors were buying and fixing. And so I decided I also want to find a house to buy and fix. I had no idea where to find them. I had no idea how to fix houses. But because I had this idea of I was going to find that, I found a house that I was able to buy at half price so that I could be able to fix it. Let me know in the comments, has there been a time where you have thought about something that you wanted, thought about something that you thought wasn't possible, then all of a sudden you start to see opportunities for that something? The things that you think about, the things that you say, they matter. On top of thinking about the house that you want, start identifying as somebody that is looking for houses. Instead of thinking about yourself as a renter or thinking about yourself as somebody that'll never buy a house, start thinking about yourself as a pre-approved home buyer. Why does that matter? Every single day you are going to be faced with decisions. And you can make decisions that get you closer to buying a house or decisions that get you further away. If you are just relying on your discipline to make the right decisions, it is going to get really tough because most of us, we're not very disciplined. Like hard, sheer will is difficult to stick to. But if you start telling yourself that you are a qualified home buyer, you are a pre-approved home buyer. Now, when you have a decision where you want to buy a new Gucci bag, you're going to take a minute and ask yourself first, is this what a pre-approved home buyer would do? Would they spend a few $1,000s on this bag, or would they take that money and put it into their home buying fund? And this doesn't guarantee that you're going to make the right decision all the time, but it gives you a chance to take a step back and really think through what your priorities are and what you want. And there's a higher chance that you're going to make the decision that is aligned with being a home buyer over time. And the more decisions that you make that are aligned with being a home buyer, the more you're going to believe it, and the more you are going to start thinking and visualizing that house even more to bring that house closer to you faster. By the way, if this is the first time that we are meeting, my name is Nobu Musekiwa. I help women gain the clarity, confidence, and strategy to buy their first house and increase their income with it. If that sounds good to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And of course, go ahead and give that like button a little love tap. If you really want this house and you're finding yourself just getting stuck in negative thoughts, start consuming more content that helps you to think through why you're taking these actions. Best thing is if you can actually talk to a therapist, absolutely do that, because that is going to help you to explore what is behind those fears. Next best thing is to start listening to more podcasts around mindset, watch more YouTube videos about mindset. If your social media feed right now is full of negativity, if you are on the wrong side of TikTok, start unfollowing those channels. Start following people that actually help you to reflect better, that help you to understand the actions that you take and why you take them. Because if you don't go ahead and get clear on what it is that is stopping you, what it is that is causing you to have fear around buying this house, then you can watch 1,000 more videos. You can listen to a whole bunch more podcasts about how to buy that house. But until you unlock this mental block that you have that is causing you fear, all that tactical knowledge, all that how-to knowledge, you're never going to use it. A positive mindset shift will help you to accomplish things that you never even thought were possible, including buying that first house. If you want some inspiration from other women that bought their first house while they're single, I have spoken to a few about their stories. Check out this playlist right here. And if you have any questions, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. Let me know what is stopping you from buying your first house.